Hey, thanks for watching. This video, we're going to talk about what the drummers do when we play this song, When My Dreamboat Comes Home. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to apologize because I'm not a drummer, and so some of the things I say, I may not have the proper technical term or be able to explain the proper sticking to you, but I'm going to play the idea and the way that it sounds, and perhaps you can get with your drum instructor to help you figure out sticking and all those sorts of technical things, because you do want to be technically correct when you're doing these things. I don't want you to develop any bad habits. Okay, so I have my snare drum here, I have my bass drum down here by my foot. I'm not using the mallet, but in your case, for these songs, you're going to be playing the bass drum with a mallet and possibly another stick. You're going to play the cymbal with the other hand, or the shell of the drum with the other hand, either or. Now, as a drummer, it's very important for you to know the melody of the song, as well as for the horn players to know the melody of the song. So let's get the melody down in our heads. 1, 2, 1, 2. When my dreamboat comes home, when my dream no more will roam, I will meet you and greet you, hold you closely in my arms. Moonlit waters will sing of the tender love you bring. And we'll be sweethearts forever when my dreamboat comes home. Now, what you always want to remember as a drummer is it's also your job to know the melody. It's not your job to keep time. It's your time to play music with the rest of the musicians in the band. And we do that by creating conversations around whatever the main thing is that's happening, whether it's somebody playing a melody or someone improvising or everybody improvising together. Okay, first let's start with the bass drum. Now generally, the bass drum is going to be playing something very similar, if not exactly, to the same rhythm that the sousaphone player will be playing. So let's have an example of the bass drum along with the melody. 1, 2, 1. When my dreamboat comes home, when my dream no more will roam, I will meet you and greet you, hold you closely in my arms. The waters will sing of the tender love you bring. We'll be sweethearts forever when my dreamboat comes home. If you notice, the bass drum is playing on 1, 2, 1, 2, and 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 1, 2, 1, 2, and. So we're in 2/4. The bass drum is playing on 1, 2, 1, 2, and on the upper, the second 2. And that's just the basic general bass drum pattern. Now let's see what the snare drum is doing. Okay, let's hear how the snare drum sounds together with the melody. 1, 2, 1, 2. When my Okay, so without getting all technical about every single note that's being played, the vibe that you want to get, or the groove that you want to hear from the snare drum, is kind of like do ricky 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 do ricky. It's sort of playing the same thing over again. That's why they call it a groove. Like if you're in the sand and you doing your hand like this in the sand over and over again, you make a groove. So that's the same thing with the drum patterns. If you play the same thing over and over again, it makes a groove. That's why they call it a groove. Now let's hear how both of those drums sound together along with the melody. 1, 2, 1. When my now that we hear what the groove sounds like when both of the drums are playing together, I'll do an example now of one of the reasons that it's important for the drums to know the melody, so that you can interact with the breaks or the rest in the melody, or otherwise, when the melody isn't doing anything, when there's silence in the melody, the drums have a little opportunity to say a little something and sprinkle a little something in that melody. All right? So let's see how that sounds. 1, 2, 1, 2. When my So let's talk about practicing. Now, when you're practicing on the drums with this kind of stuff, there's a few ways you can do it, or a few ways you should do it that I would recommend. One is that you should find a recording, maybe go on YouTube and find a recording of whatever song you're practicing. But in this particular case, Dreamboat, When My Dreamboat Comes Home. Find a recording of When My Dreamboat Comes Home that's similar to the version that you're going to have to play, and play your part on the drums along with the recording, and play it to where you're blending in with the recording. You don't want to stand out from the recording, because this whole thing is about blending and making sure that everything sounds good. It's not really about making sure that one person is shining or one person is, like the star of everything. The drums should never be the loudest thing in the band. So make sure that you're blending in with the recording when you're practicing. Another way that I recommend you should practice is with a metronome, because even though it's not the drummer's job to keep time, it is everybody's responsibility to have good time and awareness of where the quarter notes are, so that we don't end up rushing and speeding the song up, or we don't end up slowing down and dragging the song into the dirt. So you would set your metronome, you can either set your metronome for quarter notes, so 1, 2, 1, 2. You can set your metronome for quarter notes like this, or you can just set your metronome for the backbeats. So the backbeat is every other beat, so you would leave the first beat out and have it on the second beat. Leave third beat out, have it on the fourth beat. So it would be like boom. And you would be playing. So I recommend that you practice a minimum of 10 minutes daily for these exercises. And remember, music is supposed to be fun, so have fun with this. And if you don't sound as good as you think you should sound, don't be discouraged, because you should not sound great when you're practicing. If you start to sound great when you're practicing, it's time to move on to some material that's a little more difficult and a little more challenging, because that's where you want to be, always pushing yourself to the next level when you're practicing. So you always want to be practicing something that's a little bit challenging, a little bit uncomfortable, and that's going to make you better. That's going to sharpen your sword. So with that said, I'll see you in the next video.